I'm Batman.
Well, I hardly think so. The real Cape Crusader calls his crime-fighting cohorts when he's running late.
I had to walk. I couldn't get Raj on the back of my scooter.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. Aquaman sucks.
And good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. It is, of course, Friday, which means tonight is the Geekend on Tactics, and we're going to be covering some geek culture. We're actually going to be continuing an episode that we did last week, so we're doing the top 10 video game power-ups of all time. Last week we were able to get through the first 6, so we did numbers 10 through 5. Tonight, we have the top 4 video game power-ups of all time. We do the top of the list. And to help us do that, we have Justin, Chris, and Andrew, and we'll go to them right now. Without further ado, let's go to number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4 on our list is it goes by many names, and I kind of did what I did with the Red Star. I had to lump a bunch of them in together because they're so similar. So the Power Leaf, the P-Wing, the Tanuki suit, whatever you want to call it, basically anything that makes Mario turn into a raccoon, I lumped it into this category. It's very iconic. It's on the cover of Super Mario Bros. 3. Of course, the Tanuki suit made a huge comeback with Super Mario 3D Land, which, by the way, I think is a very underrated game, super fun. And then, of course, the P-Wing is the modified version of the Power Leaf where you become Raccoon Mario but have the P on your chest and you have, like, unlimited power and can fly consistently the entire level, which, by the way, that was always my favorite little extra that I got from, I believe it's the World 2 Castle, because then you could beat basically any level that you were having trouble with because you just fly over everything. You wouldn't have to worry about it. Super fun, super iconic. I think that it deserves the high ranking even among other Mario power-ups because of that.
I'm going to sound like a terrible gamer, worse than I have like the entire night. But I got worse when he turned into a raccoon.
Why?
Like, I like, you know, I don't know, like when he would go and like you jump and like you're spinning, I just couldn't control it. I did a lot better just bee running through things than I did playing around with stuff on like a 2D type platform. I was just garbage, man. I didn't actually get half decent at video games. Like I used to lose at NCAA football when it was on the PlayStation 2. I'd lose to an easy computer. So back then when games were actually hard, like on the SNES, man, forget adding a little raccoon suit. That would get me killed. I was just bad.
To be fair, old video games are much harder. Like I get to like World 4 in Super Mario Bros. 3 and I'm struggling. But
older video games were more designed for like older teenagers and adults. Actually, I just watched a little YouTube video the other day talking about how the Mario doing the peace sign when he got a star in Mario 64, that explicitly got banned because the guy who made Mario originally in the original Donkey Kong game was aiming at like an older audience. And then there's another guy that came on the team that was all about the kawaii, the cutesy. So that's when like everything started getting little eyeballs, you know, the mushrooms get it, the Starman get it, everything. And then he started Mario 3 putting in the peace sign. And then like the guy that created, was it Miyamoto, I think is his
Miyamoto.
name. He's just like, no, enough is enough. Like that's going too far. It's too childish. It's too cutesy. And he's like, no more peace sign.
Wow. Huh.
And for like 20 years, there was no peace sign in the Mario game.
There was no peace in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Until Mario Odyssey.
Well, you know, it's
years in Mario Odyssey.
It's funny because there's actually a little bit of a cultural barrier too, because to us that means peace, but to the Japanese it's actually the sign for victory.
Victory, yeah.
Which is why you see in a different Nintendo game, Victini, the victory Pokemon, uses the peace sign. That's why. But anyway, yeah.
I did not know until today when I was trying. I had already put the Tanuki suit on my list, but I did not know until today when I was looking up other people's lists trying to come up with 10 that you could turn into a stone in Mario 3.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that. As much as I play that game, you can turn into a stone when you're a raccoon. downbeat.
See, that's another thing. It's almost like a combination of, in a lot of ways, it's almost like a combination of the wing cap and the metal cap. Because you can fly and you can be invincible. Now, it's a downgraded version of both of those since it's, together. But in some ways, it's almost like a combination of those two Mario powers, the ability to fly or at the very least hover, and then the ability to use your stone form to be able to avoid damage.
Couldn't you do the ascending glide if you ran fast enough?
Yes, or if you have the P-Wing, you can just do it whenever, and that's the reason that I like that so much. In fact, it was so overpowered that it only lasts for one level. Like, after you use the P-Wing, it's automatically taken away at the end of that level.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think the cosmetic change is pretty neat. Younger me really thought it was super weird. Older me still thinks it's kind of weird, but I kind of get it at least. Yeah, it's a cool power-up.
Well,
Suit changes are neat.
Yeah, for sure. But on the weirdness factor, you have to keep in mind, the entire Mario universe is like some kind of bad acid trip. Like, the whole thing, okay, so I'm a plumber that's trying to rescue a princess from a giant turtle dragon. None of that makes any sense. If you tried to pitch Mario as a character, a video game character today, nobody would buy that. They're like, nobody's going to buy that game. That's stupid. So, the weirdness factor, I guess it's just kind of baked into the cake for me when it comes to Mario. I barely even notice the weirdness factor at this point because it's so off the wall.
Number 3.
I actually kind of take issue with this one being on the list, and it's because it's not that I hate Final Smashes, it's that I hate the delivery system. My favorite thing about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is that instead of either having the choice of not having access to your Final Smash or having the Smash Ball, you actually get to have a gauge that's at least somewhat based on merit and your ability to fight in order to unlock the Final Smash. The thing that ticks me off about the Smash Ball is that it's too random, it's a little bit ridiculous, and the Smash Ball actually, this is part of the code, it gravitates toward and goes for the person that's in last place. So it's like video game welfare, which is something that I really don't like. I don't like it in politics, and I also don't like it in video games. Yeah. In fact, if you, in Smash Brothers, if you're far enough behind, it'll just give you a Final Smash. It won't even throw a Smash Ball out there. You'll just have a Final Smash suddenly for no reason. I love Final Smashes, but I don't like the Smash Ball. I think it's a terrible thing for a video game to have an item give you your Uber move. And so this is one that it's controversial for me because I do like the effect of the Smash Ball, but I don't like the concept of the Smash Ball and that being how you get your Final Smash. But obviously, I'm the only one that has this opinion because this was a very popular one. So, guys, go ahead and give me your takes on the Smash Ball.
I don't really care about your irrational hatred for game balancing mechanics.
Shut up, Chris.
Nintendo makes party games, not competitive games.
You can take your Olimar Final Smash and just go away
Chris
somewhere.
no longer has an
away.
opinion. Andrew, how about you?
I mean, when we're talking about
Go ahead,
merit,
Chris.
merit in a Nintendo game, I think, is just silly. I think it's neat. So Final Smashes themselves are pretty cool. The delivery system, I don't really care about as much. I voted for the Final Smash because that's the way it's delivered, generally speaking,
Traditionally,
in Super
yes.
Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
So I think them adding it, I thought was a cool feature. At first, I didn't like it because I don't like the idea. I just like the plain back and forth. But since everyone has one that's a little more fair, although some of them are a whole lot better than others, there's definitely a disparity there.
Oh, for sure.
But it is kind of cool in that it breaks up the fight a little bit because there's kind of a sub game now, where at first you were fighting back and forth, and now there's this other entity on the screen that's causing this sub game where not only are you fighting against your opponent, but now you're also keeping an eye on that Smash Ball to see where it goes, trying to keep it from your opponent and trying to get it yourself to unlock a chance at this really powerful finishing move. So anyway, it's a shiny thing that goes around the screen, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I also really hate the fact that when it does show up on screen, the camera zooms out and I can't see my fight as well. So that's another gripe I have with it.
So also, I don't think I've seen it in the newer versions, but there were times too where the final smash would just fall on the stage as if it were like really heavy.
No, that
It
happens.
wouldn't.
That happens in Ultimate. Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
think
I
it
haven't
happened
seen
in
it
the
as much.
original in Brawl. I think it's happened since
Yeah,
then.
I don't
Okay.
think it was in Brawl, but it's definitely in Ultimate.
I don't know what the difference is, but I think it's kind of neat too that they mix it up sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't know that that it gravitates towards the person that's losing. I have to think about that one. I mean, it's not as bad as Communist Bowser in Mario Party, where you get to the last part of the stage and it just like forcibly redistributes all the wealth. And it's not.
Oh yeah, I mean it should
that's,
be.
That's the most egregious offender in that.
Oh, for sure. It's like
offenses.
Bernie Sanders made a video game.
It's just like Leon Trotsky made a video game. But and it's not as bad as even the Blue Turtle Shell, really, because it doesn't really punish you for winning. It just gives a slight handicap. So I'll have to rate that as not terrible, not a terrible thing. But
you
that
still
is
have to
new
get it,
information
too.
for me, huh?
You still have to actually get it.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
it's-
you have
it's
to
not-
actually
You have to
get
get it, and then you have to use it correctly. So there is
Right.
some merit. It's not
Generally,
like the
you have
bullet
to
bill
hit
that
with
just takes over your car and drives for you.
And
Yeah,
lots
Andrew.
of times when a smash ball appears, you can take advantage of your opponent's tunnel vision and kill them while they're trying to get the ball. You know, they leave themselves open lots of times. But
Yeah, not that I
yeah,
hold
just-
any personal grudges, but a certain someone on this screen has done that to me quite a few times.
Well, it's also fun to trick your opponent into your final smash and trick your opponent into using their final smash and you dodging it successfully.
Mm.
That's a
Or-
rewarding feeling.
or trying to knock it out of them.
Hmm.
That's the most satisfying. And it's like, nope, I'm actually going to get it after all. But in the cinematic cuts are probably like one of my favorites. I thought that was the cool. For all the things that Brawl did wrong, that Melee did better, I really like the addition of the cinematic cuts in the middle. I mean, that's RPGs and fighting games. That's like the coolest aspect is the big finisher move. This,
Hmm. I love Mega Man's Final Smash, the animation for it with all the different Mega Man, like over the generations. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
And plus, they've gotten better. I think, like Zelda's new Final Smash, for instance, it's like if they're a certain amount of damage, it just does damage. But if they're above 100%, I think it is, they just disappear.
yeah, it's like an
It's
instant kill.
sealed away.
Goodness.
There's a couple of different Final Smashes that do that, isn't there? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I can't think of any right now.
Solid Snake was always a fun one. The grenade launcher, just like boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, chasing them around the screen.
I will say, though, one aspect that you guys brought up that is, I think, 100% on point is nothing makes you feel more invincible than having dodged a really powerful player's final smash. Like, if you get out of the way of their final smash, you're like, man, I can do anything at this point. That's usually when I die. But, but anyway, no, it does add a lot of flair to the game.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you have a take on final smashes? I don't know. You're not much of a smash player.
I mean, here's my thought.
Andrew's
on it.
perfect item.
kind of.
It's
is.
an item that is like super OP and comes in at a time, when you need it and you can beat the sin out of someone with it. And it's just so over. I just can't stand overpowered things in video games. I
You liar. You are such a liar.
C-sticking is against the rules. I have nothing else to say about Smash. Go ahead to the next item.
I've seen you see stick, so don't even give me that.
I was not effective at it.
See, you were mad that C sticking didn't help you. That's why you didn't like it.
Yes.
Number 2.
Number 2 on the list is one of the most iconic power-ups in all of gaming history, the Superstar. And it takes so many different forms. You've got the Super Mario Superstar that obviously just makes you glow and you can run through anything. You've got the Superstar in Smash Brothers, which has essentially the same effect, but it temporarily negates any damage that's done to you. And then there's the Mario Kart Superstar, which is very similar, but the advantage is you can actually like bump into people and run them off the road. So it actually does kind of have an offensive power to it as well. Which
And the
is,
speed boost.
Yeah, and a speed boost. I forgot about the speed boost. Doesn't it technically give you a speed boost in Super Mario as well? Like, can't you run faster slightly when you have the invincibility star? I thought that was the case. And then there's another one that people don't really think of because it looks different, but it actually is still a superstar according to the game. The Yoshi's Island Superstar, where you temporarily just turn into Baby Mario instead of Yoshi, and you can like run up walls and everything. That's actually called the Superstar. And so that's another version of the same power-up, and so super, super iconic. It's been in, I think, every Mario game ever, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I can't think of a Mario game where it's not there. Well, maybe Super Mario 64. I don't think that you can use it in Super Mario 64.
Was it in Sunshine?
No, I don't think it's in Sunshine either. Okay, so maybe I'm completely wrong. There are a couple of games where it's not there.
It's in every side-scrolling Mario.
It's definitely in every side-scrolling Mario, and it's in both of the Mario Galaxies, and I think it's in Odyssey as well, isn't it? Maybe
I
not.
haven't played it through.
Oh, okay.
You can turn into a T-Rex. That's basically a superstar.
I'd argue that's better, but yeah. The Superstar, just super iconic, a really cool item, gives Mario his invincibility. I mean, even people that aren't really gamers, like, that have never played a Mario game, they know what the Superstar does. Are you humming the theme to the invincibility?
I was going to bring that up. Everyone knows the song.
Yeah. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Yeah, it's great.
That's iconic.
It is. Like, everything surrounding this thing is iconic.
So I'm glad that y'all brought up the song, because that's actually probably the most iconic thing about it for me. But
Fair.
I'm going to bring up something about the song that most people don't know. So it's like the only song in video game history that is built on 2 chords, and everybody knows the song. And it's literally the same notes played back and forth. On the piano version of it that I've got, it's literally just going, I think it's like a fifth, maybe a sixth. I think it's a fifth. Just back and forth. You're just going those 2 notes, and then you go to another 2 notes. So you got 4 notes up there, and then you got the chord, and that's it. But everybody knows it. There is no other game that will have a song that simple that everybody knows. And it's the most obnoxious song. But it also reminds me of going back to the Pac-Man thing. Like, you knew when it was almost over, the game got more stressful. You might put yourself in a really bad spot thinking, I got time. And then you're like, well, I don't now, and I'm dead. And that's when the controller got thrown. So I like it. I think it was a fun power-up. I think it's one of those things that didn't break the game. But, man, it was... You always wanted to get it. Like, I was one of the guys that would chase the star.
I died chasing it.
Right? I don't care. I'm going after that Joker. I'll live, right?
Yeah,
I got it and dead.
When it bounces to a pit, you're like, no, I can still make it, and then you don't.
Yeah.
That happened to me a few times. But no, I think that's really cool. I appreciate you interjecting a little music theory in there for us. I did not know that about this thing, but it's funny how some of those really iconic, memorable songs are, only a couple notes or something like that, like the Jaws theme.
I want to throw it out there too, that if you go back and listen to like the other stuff from Mario, a lot of it, like the faster paced stuff, is insane. If you watch people play it out on a piano, or if you just watch the notes as they go by on an orchestration for it, they're absolutely ridiculous. They have all these...
I've always wanted to learn the Yoshi's Island. The bum bum
right?
bum bum bum, but it's so hard.
It's insane.
It's because it wasn't written to be performed. It was written to be programmed into a chip.
I know. But just to think that all these other themes, like even the regular Mario theme that we all know, it's got so much more into it than this one song. And this
I'll do you one better though. The Temple of Time in Ocarina of Time has no chords. No chords because it's chant.
Huh. See,
that's
now
a whole nother... Go ahead.
I'm super out of my depth here because I'm the only non-band geek. I was an FFA.
I'm just listening along anyway.
So what?
I said I was in both.
Well, yeah, you were in both. But I have absolutely nothing to add to this discussion. Don't get me wrong, fascinated by it. Just I can't add anything to it.
I mean, we could have done this the same way we did the Tanuki and Cape and all that stuff. There's a whole genre almost of invincibility power ups. You got the Chaos Emeralds from the
Sonic.
the Ooga Booga. I
Ooga
can't
Booga?
remember what it's
Yeah.
actually called from Crash Bandicoots.
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, you got 3 masks and you were invincible for a while.
Right. No, I mean I know what it is, but I had no idea. I have no idea what its name is.
Oh yeah. No.
I didn't have a
I
PlayStation
just-
as a child. I was an N64 guy.
Not much to add. I mean, invincibility is the ultimate power up, right? No matter what game you're playing.
Yeah.
And this is the most popular invincibility item in one of the most popular games.
So basically, to sum up everything that we said, it has good music and invincibility is cool. And that's really all you need.
As long as you
Yeah.
don't die trying to obtain it.
Also, don't jump down the pit after.
It's like
Yeah,
all
not
logic went out the
100%
window.
invincible.
I will add one little thing though, and this is from a different iteration of it. When you're playing Smash Brothers, and all of a sudden one person gets the invincibility star, it's so funny to watch all the other players just scatter.
And usually you've been fighting over it too, like you would have Smash.
Right, so you're all close together, and so all of a sudden somebody gets it, everyone's like, whoo!
It's like turning on the lights and the cockroaches scatter.
Right, same kind of thing. So that adds a really fun aspect to the game, because if you're the person that actually gets it, man, it's just hilarious because you're just like, okay, who am I going to smack now?
Most of the time you can't. It's so
Well,
easy
right,
to
'cause
run
everyone's
away if
running
you're really
away.
committed to running away.
Yeah.
Except on Battlefield.
Yeah, especially if you're like Bowser and the other person's Greninja, it's like, well, this is useless. Just
All
gonna
right, time out.
wait.
This is a
right.
timeout.
You're just gonna wait for it to end so you can go back to fighting. So there is that aspect of it. It may almost be too powerful in that. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in the middle of a fight and that just like happened to drop basically on top of somebody out of nowhere. Like you didn't even have a chance to run for it. And it's just like, well, now I'm just playing keep away for a few seconds.
And number 1.
So I have to be honest, this was kind of a dark horse. I figured this would wind up somewhere on our list because I know us, but I did not expect this to be number 1. The Megastone from Pokemon. And it is technically a power-up. It meets all the qualifications. It's something that it has limited use. It's temporary. You have to meet certain conditions to be able to get it. It isn't something you obtain in the game. So technically it is a power-up. And I have to say it's fascinating because it is so popular amongst Pokemon gamers. It's something that I really love. Everybody I know that's a Pokemon fan loves Mega Evolution, which makes it all the more strange that Pokemon decided to take it out in Sword and Shield,
Yeah.
which I do not understand.
Well, yeah, they completely took it out then, but like even Sun and Moon, they didn't really include it. It was there for one generation, and then it's like, now we're done with this idea.
Yeah.
It's like they had it, but there was no new ones or anything. It was all about Z moves.
Yeah, I found that really, really bizarre that they chose that. But, regardless of Game Freak's odd game design influences, this is just such a great item. Like, the whole point, or the most exciting thing, at least for me as a Pokemon gamer, is building the team. Like, yes, I love taking down bosses. Yes, I love the individual battles. I like the storyline to some degree. Some Pokemon games have a much better storyline than others. It's fun to get badges, all that stuff. But to me, the most fun thing is building your team. And what is a big indicator of hitting milestones in building that team is evolution. So it's only natural that when they give us a new way to evolve, an interesting way to evolve, and one that is so limited in scope that you can only use it for one Pokemon, they curtail your ability to just, run roughshod over your opponents. The fact that you can only use it once in a battle is just such a cool aspect. And the designs for the vast majority of your Mega Pokemon are really, really awesome. Mega Mewtwo is really cool. Mega Charizard, especially Mega Charizard X, is just freaking awesome. Probably the best Pokemon design of all time. Mega Lucario is really cool. We could go down the list of all the really great Mega Pokemon, but the thing is, you have to have the Mega Stone, you have to have the power-up in order to be able to do that, and that's one of the reasons I think this is really cool. And can we just sit back for a second and appreciate that this entire list, we haven't had a single item from an RPG because the genre just doesn't lend itself to a power up. And yet somehow Pokemon figured out a way to make it work. And not only make
it to the top of the list.
Make it to the top of the list. So that's a feat in and of itself. And so congratulations to Pokemon on that. I think that, I wouldn't have put this as my number one, and I didn't, but frankly, I have no room to complain. It's a really awesome game mechanic.
I did.
Yeah, I know you did. Actually, several of you did.
So I'm actually going to go with a hot take here. So I voted for the Mega Stone, and I put it somewhere around number 5, I think, because it is powerful, it is effective, it's impactful, and really the generation of Pokemon that it came out in was kind of built around it, right? Mm-hmm. It seems like the past few generations, there's been some new mechanic that the game is somewhat built around, and it's kind of how they use that mechanic to sell the product. So whether it's Dynamax, Z moves, all that. I think the reason they changed it up is because they're trying to introduce a new mechanic every time to attract new players and bring older players back. All that being said, I think Pokemon would be just fine without Megastones. I don't. So Megastones add, or Mega Evolutions add to the play experience, but I think they also have a detrimental effect on the play experience. And by that I mean, since only certain Pokemon get Mega Evolutions, your team building is actually restricted more than if the Mega Evolutions didn't exist.
So you're talking about in the metagame, you are limited in your team choices because of that.
Right. So, like, if you have a Pokemon with a Mega Evolution, then why would you choose a different Pokemon of the same type with similar moves who doesn't have one, right? So you're almost kind of forced into at least having one on your team. So in my opinion, it actually restricts team building in a way because you're kind of priced into having one Mega Evolution on your team. And that Mega Evolution Pokemon, basically, there are a few options to choose a non-Mega Evolution over that one. That being said, it's a flashy mechanic. It's an exciting mechanic. I don't hate it, but I think it could have never existed and Pokemon would still be fine without it.
Is this just sour grapes that there aren't very many bug Pokemon with a Mega Evolution?
No, there are actually some good ones. Mega Heracross, Mega
Beedrill,
Mega
Scizor.
Beedrill.
Yeah, that was cool.
Mega
It
Scizor,
actually turns Beedrill into a contender.
Yeah,
a usable Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, and I built teams, bug teams, and with a couple of different megas. So yeah, I think it's still usable, but I think it does introduce some restrictions because of how good it is. That I think the game would be fine if it didn't. So I'm fairly neutral on its existence. I think it's pros and cons. It adds to the experience in one way, but it takes away from the experience in another.
I agree with you that it is kind of a flashy gimmick. I don't think that that's an incorrect take, but it's one that I really like. I mean, that's the only way I know how to describe it. It's one that...
I mean, I can't disagree with your preferences.
Yeah.
It turned Gengar into something truly nightmarish.
Yes.
Whereas, seeing the OG it's almost disappointing in the OG 150. It's like Ghastly's pretty creepy. Haunter is pretty creepy. Gengar just looks like a plush doll. He's not scary at all. But then Mega Gengar, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, he actually started to look like a ghost again. That's a good point.
Yeah. But I think to kind of play off of what Chris was saying, I think that, first of all, it's only one slot. Now, you could argue that it would be beneficial to include more than one Pokemon with the potential to Mega Evolve. So to not directly give away to your opponent who your Mega is going to be, But I think that if Nintendo and Game Freak had wanted to, they could have included more like Charizard and Mewtwo that had multiple options to Mega Evolve. And especially one of the coolest things about Mega Evolution is when it included a type change, like Charizard became a dragon type. Like, duh.
Which
It's
actually,
like the original dragon in Pokemon is finally a dragon type.
which actually
But,
made him more viable competitively because let's be honest, a fire flying type is super super weak to things like what is
Rock.
it, Stealth Rock. Yeah, like Stealth Rock basically made Charizard a non-playable Pokemon, and then Mega Charizard kind of fixes that to a degree.
Yeah, is there anything that he's got double weakness against? Actually,
Not that I can think of.
What's the typing? Is it Fire Dragon or
Fire-
Dragonfly?
Fire Dragon, yeah.
Fire Dragon. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he's got plenty of single weaknesses, but I don't think he has a double weakness to anything.
And also, when
makes
they
up for that
had
ice weakness.
ability changes was really convenient too.
Mhm.
Like with Mega Charizard X, for instance, he got the ability. Was it physical attacks were boosted, and his stats changed, and all his attack and special attack flipped. So, like, it could be a complete game changer if you strategized well. And
Right, well, you play it completely differently than if he's not Mega Evolved.
what I did is I got a was it the eggs take on the form of the female, isn't it? So I got a male Dragonite that knew Outrage, and I bred it with a female Charizard, which is really hard to get, and got a Charmander that knew Outrage. And then I had the stab bonus on a Charizard because it's a dragon type move, and it is the most powerful physical dragon type move. And he got that extra boost for it being a physical attack, and his special attack turned into regular attack. So it was just completely like obliterator. So yeah, it was fun to play with those. Because Mewtwo gained a fighting type for Mewtwo.
That was really
X.
cool.
Was it Mewtwo?
Yeah,
X?
Mewtwo X is the one that has fighting.
But yeah, it's just a cool mechanic that added a little switch up in the middle of a fight that the Z moves just didn't really do. It's like
it's basically
one
a
thing
one-hit
that you could
kill.
do one time. Okay.
Yeah.
You got one trump card, but it didn't change the dynamic of the entire battle. Like, I mean, you basically you could not all of the Mega Evolutions could do it, but with those like Charizard that changed what kind of types you had on your team or had some sort of ability that really brought. So like Mega Charizard Y had the ability that made it an instant sunny day, for instance. It was a cool game changer, especially with competitive play. And like the Dynamax, what even is that? I haven't played Sword and Shield yet, but it just seems like
It's
a not as
like-
good Mega Evolution.
Yeah.
I prefer Megas to Dynamax.
Yeah.
Even if I'm neutral on Megas, Dynamax is dumb compared to Mega.
This is the best way I know to describe it. Mega Evolution is a double stuffed Oreo. Dynamax is the great value version of the Oreo. I mean,
It's like Meowth has a very long neck. That's
yeah,
weird.
like, am I going to eat the great value Oreo if given the option? Sure. But if I'm, can pick between that or the regular Oreo, the regular Oreo wins every time. So yeah, it's just like a weird discount version of Mega Evolution.
I don't really play Pokemon that much, so I don't really know what to say about it.
All right, well, good night, everybody.
No, it's the thing that makes your Pokemon Mega Evolve.
He knows, Justin.
So,
He's being goofy.
I liked Megas better than I like Dynamax. I do think Megas broke the game more than Dynamax do, because you can take on what's the name of the stupid dragon?
You're going to have to be
The
more
shoot
specific.
dragon
There's a
dart.
lot of stupid dragons.
Yeah.
Dragonite.
No, the one that shoots dragon darts. He shoots Dreepies.
Oh, yeah.
Dragapult.
Dragapult. So
Yeah.
my Dragapult can go up against a Dynamax Pokemon and it doesn't get hurt. Like, I mean, it's going to take some damage, but the Dynamax Pokemon doesn't do nearly as much as what a Mega Evolution Pokemon is going to do to him if it was, a same Pokemon in that era. So I definitely like the concept of them, but here's the thing: I did not like There's only one reason that I put it at the top of my list. It has absolutely nothing to do with mega evolutions, so to speak, in the term.
Okay.
It has to do with the fact that Primal Kyogre was one of the most bad butt Pokemon that you will ever get to have in a game. And then,
No,
spoiler
Groudon was
alert,
better.
so don't listen to this if
Primal
you've never
Groudon.
in the Delta episode, getting to ride on the back of Mega Rayquaza into the air, into space, and take on Deoxys just blew my mind. Just absolutely mind blowing. And it
Those
was
glowing yellow trails that he had.
it was
yeah,
so
that was cool.
I'll never forget that, and it was probably going to be in my top probably 5 greatest moments of any video game ever was getting to see that, like, cinematic wise. But like it was a nice change. I don't like how like they went from, they had a good thing going for him in Oris, and then Sun and Moon came out and they're like, let's get rid of this idea. We're gonna go with this new idea, and we're gonna throw an Ultra Beast too that are like stronger than the strongest Pokemon. Then we're gonna make this other Pokemon come in and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and like do like that Dragon Ball Z fusion thing and like become like Necrozma Solgaleo. And then they're like, okay, we're done with that.
Yeah,
we're gonna go to the next thing. We're gonna make the Pokemon fat and look weird. Like,
just to detract for a second from our main discussion, does anybody else feel like with Sun and Moon, they're like, well, these are the ideas that we've had for Pokemon just sitting on the shelf collecting dust that we've never been brave enough to try, so let's just throw them all into the same game and see what happens.
I think they were trying to do the same thing that the Zelda team did and failed. You know, like they were like, all right, let's rethink the formula. And it's like, no. Like, let's get rid of gyms. Let's get rid of Mega Evolution. Let's do this power move, whatever. It's like, I don't know. Sun and Moon was kind of a disappointment, especially hot off the tail of the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Like, Sun and Moon was kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean,
because those games are really good.
It's definitely not a bad game, but its placement hurt it because it's right after Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about that, and that's fair. Coming after Oris makes it very difficult. Any game that came after Oris in succession, the next major Pokemon RPG, it was going to have a hard time beating the Delta episode.
Those are the only games that I think could stand toe to toe with the original Kanto and Johto games, as far as like story goes, as far as gameplay goes, and like overall effect. The Oris, that's a good way of saying it, is the only thing that could take it down as the top spot, I think.
You know, that's
weren't they supposed to
hold on it, but
I thought they were supposed to have another game. At least it was rumored that there was a game where Lily, because she left to go to Kanto, and your next game was going to be beating her in Kanto.
There was rumors that was supposed to be some sort of post-game addition to Sun and Moon. Like, everybody thought there was so much focus on the original 150, and it was Professor Oak's brother or cousin or whatever. And everybody thought that that's what they were going to do, and they never did it.
See, I thought they were going to do like their third game that way. Like, you know, you had Ruby and Sapphire and then Emerald. I figured that they were going to have like Pokemon Stars or something like that, and that was going to be but they never did.
Okay, question. This is it's on this subject, but off of our top 10 subject, kind of. If you had to pay for the Sword and Shield expansion, or you had to pay for an expansion that came and featured Lily going to Kanto and you having to follow her, which one would you rather pay for? I mean, since we're on the subject of Pokemon, would you rather pay for that one after Sword and Shield? I mean, after Sun and Moon, and get to go play the entire Kanto and possibly Johto regions, following her, chasing after her, and finding out where she went? Or would you rather pay what you've paid for in Sun and Moon? I mean, Sword and Shield. I can get them mixed up.
I couldn't possibly care less about Lily. But I would pay another $60 to play through Kanto and Johto. But
I've just always wanted them to make another game where you could go back to old places after beating the new place.
They did it that one time in Silver and Gold, and then they never repeated it, which makes no sense.
Yeah, what were we talking about again?
Well, I think that there is actually an underlying point here, though, that part of the reason that we remember Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and that generation of Pokemon so fondly is, I think, because of Mega Evolution. Maybe I'm speaking for the group here when I shouldn't, but I mean personally, like Andrew was talking
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it. The fact that that is kind of now looked back on as being sort of a highlight in Pokemon history is at least somewhat contributed to by the Mega Evolution, in my opinion.
It was one of the better
And also
innovation
being
mechanics.
able to actually fly.
Yeah, also.
Yes.
But flying on the back of a Mega Pokemon.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts before we move on about the list as a whole?
So I guess I'll point out that we were fairly Nintendo biased in this list, but I think that's also kind of a factor of where gaming is these days. But I think it kind of shows where gaming has gone, right? Because you've got the more cartoony, family-style gaming, party gaming that Nintendo has kind of taken over, and you have the more realistic competitive gaming that you kind of see on Xbox and PlayStation, and you really don't see power-ups in the traditional way on those consoles as you do with Nintendo anymore. You might have like health recovery, or you might have equipment and weapons or ammunition, things like that, but I don't think we really covered that in the scope of power-ups in this discussion. So
Right.
I think that's just one observation I had, is that our list is Nintendo heavy, but on the flip side, Nintendo's really the only one making games, I would argue, with traditional power-ups anymore.
Yeah, it's primary a platformer kind of game thing, and you don't really see platformers from other companies very often.
Yeah, they were a lot more common back in the day, but especially nowadays, like, is there anybody else even making platformers? You
You got Steam games, but
yeah, and Steam.
And we could have got. I thought of a couple. I was sitting there thinking of. I can't remember the name of the game. It's like Circuit or Capacitor or something like that. It was excellent Steam. If I can remember the name of it, but yeah, if we would have gone into our Steam libraries, we probably would not have come up with a list because we wouldn't have put the same things.
I mean,
Good
there's
point.
probably a Minecraft power-up that I'm not thinking of that might have made the list. But I think for the most part, games with power-ups these days you're going to find on Nintendo products.
Transistor. That's the name of the game. Transistor. Excellent game.
I don't know, because I do play a lot more like Xbox type games. I do see, like, I can think of probably 10 of them just from Xbox exclusives. I mean, you could probably look at just Halo and find 10 different things that were power-ups in that game. But you would consider some of them weapons because they would be used for specific things, and like a jetpack or going invisible or something like that. Getting the hammer or getting the sword, which it's a weapon, but it's considered a power-up. Getting the shield regen. Goodness, Nazi zombies, you could probably go through and just get 10 from Nazi zombies because you kill them and you pick up like a instant reload or instant or max ammo, something like that. Like, it's temporary and it just gives you the power of that one time. So I think that they do things like that. And you look at there are power-ups in going to Nazi zombies again that give you, more health, make you almost invincible at times. And that was our number 2, was the star for Mario. It makes him invincible, and it doesn't last forever in zombies. It lasts for a short time. So I think that there are some parallels you can draw.
Okay.
But I do think that our power-ups, there's a reason they all come from the Nintendo world, and that's because that's where they started. All these other games just took them and said, really, they're not strong enough. Let's make them more powerful.
I also want to point out, we didn't have any items from The Legend of Zelda, which is surprising with this audience.
I tried.
I mean, I had one too. It just didn't make it.
I couldn't really come up with one other than Fairy Bottle, which I kind of question whether that's technically a power-up or not, but you're right. Considering how very Legend of Zelda aware this group is, it is surprising that nothing from that showed up. And is Pokemon
it's hard
centric as our...
It's hard to zone in on one without considering weapons or magic.
And that's another thing too. As Pokemon centric as we are, yes, our number one was a Pokemon power up, but that's the only one on the list.
The rest of them aren't very good.
That's what are we gonna put? X attack? Nobody uses X attack.
Who uses
You
choice
use
spec?
a whole turn, just learn sword dance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. We sell those power ups.
I have been a Pokemon gamer since I was 8 years old. I can count on one hand the number of times I've used either like an X attack or an X special. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't lend itself to it. The genre doesn't lend itself to it. You're right that this does primarily come from sort of a old school gaming, retro gaming, platformer kind of thing, and that's when you say the word power up, you tend to think of things from that era of gaming, even if they have a modern version of it today, like the Power Star, like the Fire Flower. It has its origins in retro gaming, and so it's one of the things that I think is really sort of, frankly, I think it would have been much more hotly contested if we were, I mean, obviously the internet wouldn't be able to do streaming back then, but if we were having this debate in like 1992, we probably would have come up with a lot more different ideas from different companies. But, you know, considering where gaming is now and how far we've come, it just kind of makes sense that this is the list that we came up with. Thank you so much for being with us, guys. We appreciate it. So now that we have the new format for the show, remember that the Geekend is going to be coming on at 7 p.m. as opposed to 6 p.m. from now on. But we appreciate you being with us this evening. Stay the course, friends. Tactics is a production of News Radio 1440 and Cumulus Media Montgomery. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Cumulus Media or our business partners. Graphics by Jessica Dawson. Video production by Jackson Dean. Broadcast studio provided by Faulkner University. Location studio provided by the Dalraida Church of Christ. Copyright 2020.